video games and not doing any work. But he enjoyed his life. He wasn't a very rich, famous, or influential in society, but he did enjoy his life very much. He did everything he ever wanted to do, regardless of what that amounted to, and he was so stoned and drunk all the time that he never really gave a shit. That is, until one day he felt a strange feeling. At first, he thought it was the sort of feeling he usually felt after not showering for a few days, but it seemed to come from a deeper place within him, somewhere he wasn't quite sure of. Perhaps it was inside his mind. He couldn't really tell for sure, but he was just about to unlock power armor, so that matter was beyond his concern. But the feeling never really went away. It built and piled and grew within him, and with time it became impossible to ignore. It felt like something was sucking at him from inside. He hadn't quite felt that since that time when he was 13 and he experimented with a vacuum cleaner, an experience he vowed he would never try to relive. But it seemed to be not painful in quite the same sort of sense as that, but an interesting new sort of feeling. Something he couldn't quite come up with a word for, but if he could come up with a word, it would probably be squamptious. So this squamptious feeling seemed to resonate with him, and with every breath he took, it drew in and out, and in and out, filling him and then draining, filling him and then draining out again, like a river, or a lake, or a particularly unlucky porn star. And so, with time, he became to accept this feeling as a part of himself. Some people would call that ignoring that, but to him, ignorance truly was bliss. And he was a very blissful man. Until one day, things changed. up that morning, most like most other mornings. He felt still tired, like he hadn't slept enough. even though he'd slept for a solid 10 hours without waking up even once. But on this particular day, that feeling he felt within inside him was stronger than ever before. So strong that he couldn't ignore it, even with his amazing superpower to ignore things. And so, that feeling seemed to grab his soul and turn it straight inside out. It pulled and pulled and pulled, and no matter how hard he pushed back, he just couldn't resist any longer. And he felt himself being drained inside and insideward, on, until soon, his soul was a single singularity wrapped up inside itself. This was an experience unlike anything he'd ever experienced before. Indeed, it was totally unique within his mind. Even though the boxes were falling around him, and things were starting to fall out of place like ribbons in the sky after a giant piñata ejaculated over the entire existence of being, he soon seemed to find that he had no sense of reality anymore. In fact, since his entire consciousness was a complete one-dimensional enigma, he didn't quite know how to understand reality or time or space or really anything like that. So really, he didn't spend much time at all in this space. Well, really, he could have spent 1,000,000 years in there, but he wouldn't have known anyway, because eventually he had to snap out of it. That was the only way he'd ever learn to perceive at this point in time. Otherwise, he would have been stuck without perception of time for eternity, and it would have seemed like a strange quantum paradox, wherein time existed, did not exist, both and neither, all at the same time.